Have you ever been in a room and felt lonely? I have, and I often do. I grew up feeling lonely and alone. I was often isolated and disconnected to the people that I held dear to me. My great-grandmother raised me until I was 4. Then, when my stepfather arrived into our lives, he went out of his way to ensure that we had nothing to do with my great-grandmother. This set up for me a feeling of loss and a feeling of disconnection to the one and only person who loved me unconditionally. To say my childhood was unhappy would be an understatement. From abuse in the home to bullying at school. Having that deep feeling that I could trust no one was totally on my own. My name's Rita-Marie from Soul Crystal Earth, and I am a funeral celebrant. I am in a unique combination of life experiences, and I do have the ability to make a connection to everyone I meet. My experiences come from being a daughter, a sister, a wife, a mother, a grandmother, a great-grandmother. I'm also a fur mum, and I'm an auntie, a great auntie, and a cousin. And for those that know me, I'm a very loyal friend. But I didn't arrive at this combination easily. It took time, it took practice, and it took patience. But how did I get here? Well, being married to my husband probably was one of the best things that happened, because he was the sort of person that didn't believe I should slink through the shadows behind him. He would literally throw me through the door before him. He taught me and encouraged me to step out of my comfort zone. I joined sporting clubs and I learnt to play squash. I also loved exploring spirituality, so to get in touch with that, I really stepped forward from my comfort zone and attended my very first Angel Intuitive conference with Doreen Virtue. I went on my own, I knew nobody, and all of a sudden I was in amongst 200 people from all over the world. I made a lot of connections that weekend, and I'm still really good friends with quite a few of them today. Now, as we contemplate our connections to the universe, I want you to consider this humble apple. Very few pause to wonder its journey from seed to the supermarket shelf, and each step is intricately woven with human hands. From the nurturing hands of the farmer, to their workers, to the pickers, and finally to the processing plant where lots of people sorted them, and then they travelled and ended up on the supermarket shelf, and I went into the shop and bought it. Its simplicity lies in its truth. The apple, like many facets of existence, serves as a thread linking us spiritually to lots of people throughout the universe. As a child, apples fascinated me. We didn't have a lot of money, so fresh apples were a luxury. As a matter of fact, I don't think I tasted an apple until I was about 8 years of age. But as a young child, I was gifted, you know, one of those little 45 records, tiny little things on the record player. And it was the story of Johnny Appleseed. I listened to that story so many times, and I totally got immersed with Johnny Appleseed and how he planted apple trees all over the United States. I actually thought the story was flight of fancy, but on researching in Google, he was an actual person. He was an American pioneer that went throughout all of North America, and everywhere he went, when he left that place, he'd always planted apple trees. So for me, that connection to apples became a big thing. My great-grandmother always made apple pies or any sort of dessert with apples, but she used dried apples. And we all know that dried apples taste like rubber if they're not cooked properly. I can still remember the very first day I ate an apple. I remember the smell and the taste and the crunch. And I always appreciate just how apples have taught me about connection. As a matter of fact, I used to teach meditation, and one of my meditations was about the apple. And I used to ask people to hold the apple in their hands. I would buy them an apple and give it to them. And I'd say, now think about the connection to me giving you this apple. Where did I get it from? Where did it come from? How did it get to the shop? And I took them back through the journey until they seen the tree. What was really important for me was I got an email after that meditation from a lady who always felt alone and disconnected. And she let me know just how much that meant to her, because she was constantly saying, I'm all on my own, I'm alone, I'm nobody. But when she started thinking about the apple, she realised that she was connected. And that's how I think of bringing the story of the apple when I talk about business and making connections within businesses. Now, I know everyone's there thinking, oh, we all make connections to our business people, all our clients. What's she talking about? But are you? Do you stop to think about the connections that we are making? With the age of technology, my fear is that we are losing that person-to-person connection. We've got emails, we've got Facebook, we've got LinkedIn, we've got Zoom. And since COVID, that has become more and more prolific. Our bank colours are being shut down. You want to do your banking now, you can't go into a bank and walk up to a teller and have a chat to them while you're transacting your money. As a matter of fact, I read recently that they're going to charge us for that little experience. You go to the supermarket, you're expected to go through the self-service checkout. That's my pet hate. Our kids, I go and see my grandkids, you can't talk to them. They're escaping into their computers, their phone or their tablet, and it's been their way of connecting to one another. Soon, I fear, there will be no way to have just person-to-person contact. However, in my business as a funeral director, or funeral celebrant, I should say now, I was a funeral director in my past life, it relies on me being involved with a lot of people on a lot of personal level, especially with people I'm going to work with. Now, I know it can be simplified. I can send them emails, I can send them a form to fill in, but I prefer to ring up, make an appointment, and see them in person. It's the utmost importance to me that I have that person-to-person connection. So I can actually learn more about the deceased. I want to know who they were. What's their story? How did we connect? This allows me to personalise the service for the family. It shows them that I have respect and empathy for their loss. And this becomes my first step in making a connection to the family that I'm about to provide that service for. It is my way, I find, to have good lines of communication. I can still be compassionate, but yes, I can be fun. My favourite saying is, I put the fun in funerals. For me, making person-to-person contact with families is the most important way that I operate. I want to get to know and learn more about the deceased that I'm invited to prepare a fond farewell for. I like to take the time with the family. Some of my meetings go between 3 and 4 hours. I have lots of cups of tea or coffee. I get to notice their body language. Body language is an important way of communicating with one another. When I'm speaking with them, I like to look at their eyes. I like to see that they know I'm listening to them. I also, as I said before, love to hear the story of the deceased. And sometimes I sit with families and they can't tell me, oh, no, we can't say much. But the more you sit with them and the more you let them talk, the more you hear. So this is important to me for 3 reasons. One is I know and I am sure that I can make sure that we're all on that same page. I can personalise that service to them, but it also gives myself and the family I'm working with a chance to realise if we're a good match for each other. We're all different, and one thing I've learned over time is I'm just not everyone's cup of tea. I am aware that when I've been asked to do a funeral for a family, there is family dynamics to be aware of. And trust me, there is. For example, I will always find out who signed the paperwork, because what people don't realise is the person that signed the paperwork for the funeral is actually the person in charge. They might find that there'll be someone else in the family that wants to take over, but at the end of the day, a funeral celebrant and a funeral director can really only respond to what the person that signed that paperwork wants. The other thing I like to know is who's going to give the eulogy. Are they going to be comfortable with standing up and doing that? Or do they want me to do it for them? One of the things I like to assure them is I'm going to be there, I'm going to stand with them, I'm going to help them through that moment just by being there. And if they falter and if they get upset, I gently put my hand on their back. And if it becomes too hard for them, I step in and read it for them. How we make connections to one another is always important, and it's not in the business that you're doing either. How do you make person-to-person contact? How do you build your liking, knowing and trusting relationships with one another? Without person-to-person connections to your clients, to your family, to your friends, are you in danger of losing repeat business? Or, following up with your friends, are you at risk of losing friends because you don't keep that connection going? These are questions that are some that we all like to ponder on. In business, take networking for instance. It's one of the most important things that we do. When you're attending a networking function, do you just gravitate to the people that you know and you're comfortable with? Or do you reach out and sit with someone new? Are there opportunities by doing that for more one-on-one business in the future? Take notice the next time you attend a function and look around and see if there's somebody new that's just sitting there quietly and shy and doesn't want to participate. Walk up and make them feel welcome. I ask you this when you're thinking about connection. How do you do this? How can we improve the way we connect to one another? Do you stop and observe the world that is around you? Do you smile when someone walks past you in the street? Do you nod and say hello? Do you say thank you and have a nice day when you're at the checkout and somebody's taken the time to serve you? I want to leave you with this one thought. Do you know that it takes approximately 47 muscles in your face to frown? And yet it only takes 13 to smile. Now, I don't know about you lot, but I'm a lazy person. So it makes more sense to me to smile than it is to frown. My challenge today to you all is think about how you make person-to-person connections. Thank you.